students, welcome to Prodigy Edu Classes. This is a continuation of the previous video. Epithelial tissue নিয়ে আগে একটা ভিডিও করেছি, ওই ভিডিওটা দেখে তারপর এই ভিডিওটা দেখতে হবে, ঠিক আছে? তো আমি শুনলাম যে তোমাদের অনেকেরই অসুবিধা হচ্ছে, তোমরা আমাদের জানিয়েছো যে বই নেই, স্টাডি মেটেরিয়াল নেই। তো যদি তোমাদের কারোর বই কিংবা স্টাডি মেটেরিয়াল রিলেটেড কোনো প্রবলেম থাকে, নিচের যে দুটো নাম্বার দেওয়া রয়েছে ওই দুটো নাম্বারে কন্ট্যাক্ট করো। তোমরা রেলিভেন্ট টপিকস আর সাবজেক্টসের স্টাডি মেটেরিয়াল অথবা বইয়ের কিছু লিঙ্কস তোমাদেরকে শেয়ার করা হবে, ঠিক আছে? We will continue with this video. This is a continuation of the previous video. Where we left off in the last video, we had classified epithelial tissue into simple epithelial tissue, transitional epithelial tissue, and stratified epithelial tissue. We'll begin by discussing simple epithelial tissue, and then we'll move on to transitional and stratified epithelial tissue. So discussing simple epithelial tissue, as you know that the simple epithelial tissue has a single layer of cells where all the cells have a direct connection to the basement membrane. Now classifying simple epithelial tissue, you will find that we have squamous epithelial tissue. Please note the spelling, S-Q-U-A-M-O-U-S, squamous epithelial tissue. You have cuboidal epithelial tissue. You have columnar epithelial tissue. And you have pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. So beginning with squamous epithelial tissue, the name squamous means fish scale-like. So like the fish scales are arranged in the bony fishes, you'll find that these cells are arranged like them. Like you find pavements you have, there the tiles are arranged in a way, in the same way these cells are arranged very close knit to one another. There is almost no intercellular spaces. So hence the name squamous. If you look at these cells, you'll find that the cells have been flattened to such an extent that you'll find surface bulgings on the surface where the nuclei will be present. So surface bulgings will be present on the epithelial tissue, denoting the presence of the underlying nuclei. So look at this diagram. You have flattened cells with flattened nuclei, and yet the nuclei produce surface bulgings, and all of the cells are directly connected to the basement membrane. Hence this is a simple squamous epithelial tissue. In this diagram you have a picture which has been taken from above, from here, and you have a look at the transverse section. Okay, so if you look at squamous epithelial tissue, the basic thing about this is it is very thin. So why do I make a tissue very thin? Why do I make a covering tissue very thin? So when you found that epithelial tissue is mainly responsible with four functions. What are the four functions? You have protection, you have absorption, you have secretion and excretion, and you have exchange. So when I have a very thin layer of single layered epithelial tissue, definitely I don't want protection, absorption of secretion. What do I want? I want exchange. So whenever in our body, at any kind of tissue, we need that tissue to take part in efficient exchange. Squamous epithelial tissue will be present there. Now if you think a little, you will be able to identify the locations of squamous epithelial tissue on your own. Look at simple squamous epithelial tissue in the linings of alveoli in the lungs, where there will be exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the inspired air and the body. There you will find the presence of simple squamous epithelial tissue. Next, where? In the lining of the capillaries, where there will be exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood vessels and the tissues. There also you will have simple squamous epithelial tissue. So wherever I need to facilitate exchange, there will be presence of simple squamous epithelial tissue, as it is very thin. Next come to simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Now as you can see from the diagram, I have taken a transverse section. I have excluded the picture from above. So if you look at the simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, you will find that these cells have an identical length, breadth and height, hence appearing like cubes. So in a transverse section, I have eliminated the breadth, so you can only see the length and the height, and you have these cells which look like cubes and have a central nuclei. The nuclei are positioned in the center. Normally in epithelial tissue, you will find that nuclei in a single layer of cells will always be at the same level. Here look, they are at the same level. Here all of them are central. Here all of them are basal. Normally in an epithelial tissue, the nuclei will all be present at the same level. Now if you look at a cuboidal epithelial tissue is mainly responsible with the function of secretion or excretion. So cuboidal epithelial tissue is also known as glandular epithelial tissue. It is also known as glandular epithelial tissue, as it is responsible for secretion. Now tell me, if it is responsible for secretion and excretion, where will you find it? For secretion, if you look at the follicles of the thyroid gland, the lining is simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. And for excretion, if you look at the lining of the ducts, if you look at in the kidneys, you will find the nephrons. And these nephrons have this tubular part, the PCT, the loop of Henle and the DCT. All of these will have a lining of simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Simple cuboidal epithelial tissue in the nephron has certain surface modifications. Since they take part in reabsorption, in order to increase the surface area of absorption, you have something known as brush bordered cuboidal epithelium. Now what is this brush border? This brush border is modification of the surface cell membrane of these cuboidal epithelial cells, where this surface membrane is thrown into numerous finger-like projections known as giving a brush bordered appearance. This actually intends to enhance the surface for reabsorption. Okay. So next, considering columnar epithelial tissue. If you look at columnar epithelial tissue, you will find that these cells have a height which is twice the length and breadth. So these are tall cells which will have a round nuclei which is basally located. So squamous epithelial tissue has a flattened nuclei, cuboidal epithelial tissue has a round central nuclei, and a columnar epithelial tissue has a round basal nuclei. The columnar epithelial tissue will typically be found in the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. Okay, if you look at the stomach, if you look at the intestine, these are responsible for secretion of the digestive enzymes and absorption of the various nutrients. So there you will find the presence of columnar epithelial tissue. Now if you look at columnar epithelial tissue and cuboidal epithelial tissue, both of these take part in what you call as secretion or excretion. So when you do secretion or excretion, if you have red cell, you will know that our Golgi body are responsible for the function of secretion. So if you look at these cells, on the basal aspect of these cells, you will find an abundance of mitochondria. Why mitochondria? Because these cells, for the purpose of secretion, will need a lot of energy. These mitochondria will provide for the energy. Why are the mitochondria present on the basal side? Because this is the luminal or apical side. So whatever nutrition that will pass to the epithelial tissue will always pass from the basal side. So the mitochondria which will take up the nutrients and produce energy will be present on the basal side. Wherever all of the secretions of digestive enzymes and various things will be done to the lumen. So the Golgi bodies, if you look at the Golgi bodies will be abundant on the apical surface of the epithelial tissue. So in cuboidal and columnar epithelial tissue, there will be an abundance of mitochondria and Golgi body. The Golgi bodies will present on the luminal side of the cells, and the mitochondria will be present on the basal side of the cells. Okay. So we have discussed squamous, cuboidal and columnar epithelial tissue with their basic characteristics and their location. Okay. If you have missed anything, please rewind and then write it down. Okay. Now coming to pseudostratified epithelial tissue. Now why am I calling this pseudostratified epithelial tissue? Imagine when I look under the microscope, these are schematic diagrams for you. Okay. When you look under the microscope, the only thing that you are able to discern in an epithelial tissue is the basement membrane and the nuclei. These cell membranes or the other organelles are not really prominent when you are looking under a microscope at low power. So all you can see is this basement membrane and an arrangement. It's like this, there is a basement membrane and there are a number of nuclei. This is what is prominent. So how do you identify whether it is a simple epithelial tissue, whether it is a complex or stratified epithelial tissue? You identify by the number of layers of nuclei that are present above the basement membrane. So I am looking at this cell, this layer, and I am finding that above the basement membrane there is only one layer of nuclei. So I know that this is a simple epithelial tissue. But when I look at a pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue, I look at it under the microscope, and what I see is above the basement membrane, the nuclei are present at various levels. So it gives me a false impression that maybe the nuclei are arranged in 4 different layers. One over here, one over here, one over here, and one over here. So what is essentially a single layered epithelial tissue gives me the impression that it has 4 different layers of nuclei, leading to the false judgment that it may be a stratified epithelial tissue, but it is actually a simple epithelial tissue. So we name it as pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. In pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue, you will find some cells which have a large cavity. These are actually goblet cells which secrete mucin. These are goblet cells which secrete mucin. Now these cells contain a lot of mucin in the apical portion, and they secrete this, whereas only the lower part of the cell cytoplasm along with the nucleus remains, and the most part of the secretion has gone up. Okay, so these are the goblet cells. So you will also find goblet cells in the columnar epithelial tissues. So you have discussed the basic types of epithelial tissue, and now you need to know some surface modifications of the epithelial tissue. You have already heard about the brush bordered epithelial tissue, which we have discussed, and they are present in the nephrons. But if you look at the respiratory tract, you will find that the cells of the respiratory tract contain some modifications, surface modifications of hair-like structures known as cilia. Now what do these cilia do? You see that if you have looked at a wiper of the car, they move like this. So the function of the cilia is to undergo rhythmic movements from inside outwards. So what do they do is, when we inspire air, a lot of particles, a lot of foreign particles, dust particles are present in the inspired air, which are filtered by these cilia which are present on the luminal or apical surface of these cells. These cilia will move through rhythmic movements and move the foreign particles from inside outwards, thus preventing them from entering to the lungs. Okay, so this sums up. You will find when cilia will be present, we will call it as ciliated simple columnar epithelial tissue. If pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue has cilia, we will call it ciliated pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. Okay, so this is how you will name. You will first tell epithelial tissue will be always present, simple, and then the type of cell, and if any surface modification is present, it will precede. Okay, you will be adding adjectives to the epithelial tissue. So we are done with simple epithelial tissue. Next we will come to the discussion of transitional epithelial tissue. Transitional epithelial tissue. Now you don't really need to know a lot about transitional epithelial tissue at this level. Just know that transitional epithelial tissue has 3 to 4 layers of cells. 3 to 4 layers of cells. The cell membranes, I told you in the previous part on simple epithelial tissue, that when we look under a microscope, we are able to appreciate the basement membrane and the layer of nuclei. Now transitional epithelial tissue has very prominent cell membranes, owing to the presence of junctional complexes. Okay, junctional complexes. If you want to know what junctional complexes are, please look at the second video on cell membrane. Okay, so these cells, this transitional epithelial tissue has prominent cell membranes with junctional complexes which give a prominent cell membrane to these cells. Okay, so 3 to 4 layers, prominent cell membranes. Next, what you need to know is, it is also known as urothelium. It is also known as urothelium. Why urothelium? Because it lines the urinary tract. Okay, if you look at the ureters and if you look at the urinary bladder, you will find presence of transitional epithelial tissue. Hence, it is also known as urothelium. Now, why are junctional complexes present? Junctional complexes, what they do is, they adhere the apical layer of cells very tightly. Now if you look at the lumen of the ureter and the urinary bladder, you will find that urine is present. Now all of the excretory toxic substances are present in the urine. So we would not want the urine to percolate from the lumen into the intercellular matrix. Hence, we ensured the presence of tight adhesions between the apical transitional epithelial cells to keep the luminal substances confined to the lumen. Okay, so this is all you need to know about transitional epithelial tissue. This is not really very important. Next, we'll come to stratified epithelial tissue. Stratified epithelial tissue will typically have 5 to 6 layers of cells. 5 to 6 layers of cells. Now in stratified epithelial tissue, you will find all of simple stratified epithelial tissue, cuboidal stratified epithelial tissue, columnar stratified epithelial tissue. If you look at the cells quickly, you'll find that there will be a basement membrane and then you'll have cuboidal cells. You'll have cuboidal cells in the base. In the middle 3 layers, you will have something which we call as polyhedral cells. You'll have polyhedral cells. So basically you will have irregular cells present in the middle 3 layers. And in the apical 2 layers, you will gradually find the type of cells on which you will name. Suppose you have a stratified simple epithelial, a stratified squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, suppose you have a stratified squamous epithelial tissue. If you have a stratified squamous epithelial tissue, the final 2 layers of cells will be of squamous type. If you have a stratified cuboidal epithelial tissue, the apical 2 layer of cells will be of cuboidal type. The basic 4 layers below will remain the same. The basalmost layer will be formed of cuboidal cells, the intermediate 3 layers will be formed of polyhedral cells, and the apical 2 layer of cells will be formed of the type of cells on which you name it. Okay, so here we mainly need to discuss the stratified squamous epithelial tissue. So look, why do I need a epithelial tissue to be stratified? We have concerned ourselves with the functions of exchange. It is done simple squamous. We have done the function of secretion and excretion. It has been done by cuboidal epithelium. We have done the function of what? Absorption. It has been done by columnar epithelial tissue. What is left is protection. So whenever you need protection, somewhere where there will be injury, where there will be friction, you need one layer is not enough. You need more than one layer. You will need 5 to 6 layers. Hence you will need stratified epithelial tissue. So stratified squamous epithelial tissue will be present in all of the areas where there will be necessity for protection. So if you look at stratified epithelial tissue, you will find that it is also classified into 2 types, which are keratinized and non-keratinized. Okay, so keratinized and non-keratinized. Now keratin is a protein covering. It is a protein covering which prevents passage of water. It prevents passage of water. So keratin is a protein which prevents passage of water. Now suppose I have a stratified epithelial tissue over here. So what does a covering of keratin do? A covering of keratin ensures that no water will be able to pass from here across this covering of keratin. So imagine you have your skin. Now it is continuously exposed to various surfaces of heat. Imagine you have gone out, the sun is scorching. Now what will the sun tend to do? It will tend to dehydrate you. It will tend to draw out all water. Now this layer of keratin will prevent water from percolating from the cells and going outside. So what will keratin do? It will prevent your apical layer of cells of the stratified squamous epithelial tissue from dehydrating and dying out. So where will you have stratified squamous epithelial tissue of keratinized variety? Keratinized stratified squamous epithelial tissue will be present in skin. Okay, so all of the external skin covering that you have, which is prone to dehydration and exposure to various injuries, you will have presence of stratified squamous keratinized epithelial tissue. Now non-keratinized epithelial tissue will be present in those surfaces which need protection but are moist. So where do you need protection and yet the surfaces are moist? Imagine the covering of your oral cavity. If you look at the inner surface of the oral cavity, it has got continuous lubrication and a moist surface due to the presence of saliva. So keratin is not present over there. That will be non-keratinized. But still it is stratified because you chew, you take a lot of food substances and they will tend to cause friction and erosion of the oral cavity. So you need stratified squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, so now if you analyze epithelial tissue, and if I ask you one thing, say if I tell you that where will what kind of epithelial tissue will be present in the, say I am telling you thyroid gland, then automatically you see that it is a gland, so it will take part in secretion. So you will find simple cuboidal epithelial tissue because it is responsible for secretion. So you don't need to mug up the various locations of epithelial tissue if you understand that which type of cells are present for which function. Okay, the understanding of the structure of the cell will give you an understanding of the function, thereby giving you the exact location of the epithelial tissue. Okay, I hope you have got a consolidated idea on the epithelial tissue. Please subscribe and press the bell icon that is present on the bottom of this video, so that you get to get a notification when we make the next and other videos. Okay, please contact this number below for any doubts. You can call or you can WhatsApp. Thank you.